What's up, guys? This is Blair. I just wanted to make a video on Smash Ultimate because the game's a month away, and I'm excited. I know we're all pretty excited for the game, but I want to talk about stages today because I feel like a lot of the community is confused on a stage list, a legal stage list, and I just want to get my opinions out there. You know, even if this doesn't get a whole lot of views, because I mean I'm kind of a small channel. I still don't care. I want to get my views and opinions out there. If that gets heard by anyone else in the community of, like, you know, higher status, I suppose, maybe like your Gimmers or your D1s in the world, then, you know, that I can understand that I made an impact or whatever. But okay, so here we go. I want to talk about the stages. So first of all, huge shout outs to Spain. Spain, you guys are the homies. Your gameplay and research has been huge for characters, like changes in characters, and also stages, which we'll be discussing today. So shout outs to Spain. There's a Reddit post talking about most of, I think it's like 73 stages, and they highlight some of the ones that they think are illegal. So I'm going to be giving my opinions mostly on those. So I'll have a link to that in the description, as well as some other sources. I know Zero and Mewtwo King made quality videos on the topic as well. This was before the full game, or what we think is the full game release for like the private events, like the ones in Spain and the tour, the college tour around North America. So that was before that, but a lot of it's relevant, but we have more details. But I will post links to the part 1 and part 2 of that. It's around 30 minutes for both of those, but you know, it's top player opinion, and they do have a lot of good things to say, so I will link that as well as just the Smash Ultimate stage list from the website, so I'll link that as well. But okay, so first off, I want to talk about triplats. My opinion on all of those will probably change depending on if their blast zones are different. But in terms of just stage layout, with most of them being hazards off, because a lot of people are advocating for hazards off on every stage, but that has some implications. So mainly I want to talk about Yoshi's Island Melee and Fountain of Dreams. So for hazards off on those, for Yoshi's Island Melee, Randall doesn't exist. Randall the Cloud, he doesn't go around, and the Shy Guys don't appear. I feel like personally, as a Melee player myself, I do like the concept of Randall. The only thing that would rub me off with Randall would be if he has ledges. So like if you could grab onto Randall instead of landing on top of him, because I do think that Randall does provide a difference to the stage that isn't super RNG, because it goes around in a set time, so it's not super random. The Shy Guys, I'm not super for the Shy Guys, but at the same time, they can do recovery mix-ups. So, you know, we see like Firefox up Bs into the Shy Guys, it stalls them. Hitboxes last longer in them. So like Melee, in terms of Melee, we don't know if that's going to be the same in Ultimate, but I would presume it would. I don't see why it wouldn't. So I do think that hazards off is still a good quality stage that should be legal. I would say if we do have it hazards off, it would probably be counterpick. And if we have hazards on, would be counterpick. Hazards off would probably be starter. But if the blast zones are all the same for the triplats between Battlefield and all of the rest, then I honestly don't see a point, because we only need one triplat, so just take your pick. And then honestly, with the Omega Battlefield thing change that Sakurai added, which is cool, any stage can just be Battlefield. So I don't know. Well, we need more info on that. I think blast zones are the ones that make or break it. But for hazards off, Yoshi's Island Melee, I think, is a good stage that should be legal. It would probably be counterpick with hazards on. But I do think that Shy Guy and Randall add complex, in-depth gameplay that like no other stage really does. So next, Fountain of Dreams. With hazards off, the platforms don't move, so it's basically another triplat. And I mean, we still have to learn the blast zones, but the platforms moving adds another unique aspect to the stage and to gameplay that not a whole lot of stages have, and it's not super RNG. And like the platforms move really slow anyways, so it's not that big of a deal. But I do advocate for that being legal with hazards on, because I don't see a whole lot wrong with it. So, because if hazards off, obviously I've said it like I think 3 or 4 times now, we have to learn the blast zones, and I mean obviously we'll make our decisions once the game comes out, but the sooner the better. I think those two should be legal with hazards on, Yoshi's Island Melee and Fountain of Dreams. Midgar, I don't even know about Midgar. Oh, actually, so yeah, Midgar, it's probably just going to be another Battlefield with hazards off. Maybe the platforms are longer. I think that might be the case. Which also brings me to Dreamland. Wispy with hazards off. Wispy doesn't blow anymore, but the platform on top I think is slightly longer than Battlefield. That could be wrong, but Wispy doesn't blow, so, and I mean you can still get pineappled, which sucks. But I do think that Dreamland is probably still going to be a starter. But anyways, so yeah, that's the triplats. Next, I want to talk about the Halberd-like stages. So Halberd, it's pretty much just the actual stage is pretty much flat, and there's some discrepancies because like the ledges are slightly higher, like the area by the ledges. But then it has the one platform in the center, and I think the blast zones got rebalanced, so they're higher on the top. But with Halberd, with hazards off on Halberd, it still transitions, but the like ship doesn't attack you, so it doesn't shoot lasers or like the weird slow bomb thing, or the claw, which is good. So I think it'll still be legal. That one probably will be counterpick, but there's other stages that have that same layout. So Smashville, with hazards off, the platform stays in the center. I think when this like game starts, it starts on the right and it moves to the center, but then it like locks in the center, which I think is really odd. I don't know why it doesn't just start in the center to begin with. I feel like that could give a slight, very, very, very slight advantage to whoever spawns on the right. So I don't know. I feel like that isn't a huge issue, but that could be something. But I mean, we've dealt with that in Smash 4 with just the platform moving in general. And hazards off, the balloon doesn't appear either, but with hazards on, the platform moves and it goes off stage, and the balloon's there. But honestly, with items off, it doesn't really matter. So I'm split. I'm torn on Smashville being legal with hazards on or off. I do think it'll be legal, both versions, but I know the community wants to pick one or the other, and a lot of the Smash 4 scene seems to be advocating for Smashville to be hazards off so that the platform doesn't move, because we have a lot of like Sheik and Bayo combos that just kill you at like 20, or like Nest forward throw that kills you at 0, stuff like that. We don't know if that's still an issue, because blast zones might have gotten changed, and I mean Rage jank isn't quite the same, less random if I recall correctly. It starts at like 120, so I'm not entirely sure. I do think that the moving platform is a good concept. I recognize that there is jank, but I do personally like the stage with the moving platform, so I would advocate for hazards on for that stage. But that with hazards off, it is very similar to Halberd in the sense that there's just one platform in the center on a flat stage. Then there's also Woohoo Island. So Woohoo Island, it's a lot bigger, but with hazards off, it's just a flat stage with like this weird U kind of lip on both sides. So it's the same as Smash 4, but it doesn't transition into like other aspects or like you're on the beach or whatever. It's only the stage. It's only the long stage with like the lips by the ledges, and then the platform in the center. And you can go through the bottom, so it's kind of like Halberd in that sense, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's still a good stage. My thought is it'll either be counterpick, because it is kind of big, and can promote camping. Like we've seen Isabelle gameplay on there where she's just like shooting fares through the lip of the stage and it goes through, so it could be kind of jank. So I'm gonna say either counterpick or doubles starter, because it does look like an amazing stage for doubles. That jank will still be there where you can like shoot stuff through the ledge, but I mean it's still a good platform layout and stage layout. So that stage will be legal. I think that's it for the Halberd-like stages, if I recall correctly. Oh, no. Yoshi's Island Brawl with the platform in the middle. So with hazards off, the stage, like the platform in the middle, doesn't tilt. So it's just a static platform. And then the ghosts don't appear, like the ghost platforms by the ledge don't appear anymore. And then, if I recall correctly, Shy Guy don't appear either. So I think that's a great stage. I think it'll be legal, but we have to, again, for the same thing with the triplats, we have to look at blast zones and see if it'll be different at all, to where one ban on all of the Halberd-like stages bans all of them, or if it only bans the one because of blast zones. So yeah, but those are the main two kind of not unique stage types, where it's like triplat or the one plat in the center. But then every other stage that I'm going to talk about is fairly unique and doesn't fall under that category. So I'll just go on the list for the Reddit. So they start off with, and I'll only cover the bolded ones. So they start off with Pokemon Stadium. So it doesn't transform anymore, so it's only the platforms. 1 and 2, we'll have to see if there's blast zone difference, but I don't think there is. It's only cosmetic difference. So my ideas will probably have both legal, but they'll count as the same stage. And then just take your pick. Do you want to play on 2 or 1? You know, the Melee players might pick Pokemon Stadium 1. Brawl and Smash 4 players might pick 2. Who knows? But yeah, I think they'll go hand in hand as stages. But it's definitely going to be legal. My guess, probably starter. That's my guess, though. I would support that decision. But next, we got Duck Hunt. I honestly advocate for a ban for the stage, even with hazards off. With hazards off, the ducks don't appear, and the dog doesn't pop up as like a platform. But even so, the tree, it's really campy. A lot of characters can't get up in the tree without using a lot of recovery options, like double jump and up E. It just promotes camping, and it's not fun to watch or to play. So I would advocate for a ban. I can see it being counterpicked, but I highly doubt it with the amount of stages that we have, because it is fairly degenerative. So I would advocate for a ban. Next, WarioWare. I can see that being a starter, because with hazards off, it doesn't transform. And the platform layout is fairly unique and adds interesting gameplay. I can see it being counterpicked just because blast zones might be small, and the platforms on the second layer of platforms can add some like weird offstage interactions where you can just run off fair. So it might be very advantageous for edgeguard characters like Sheik or the Swords. But I do think it's a good stage. It'll definitely be legal. We'll have to see if it's counterpick or starter. My thought it'll be starter and maybe switch over to counterpick as the metagame evolves, but we'll see. I did talk about Yoshi's Island Brawl. I think that'll be legal for sure. Probably a starter, and we'll see if all of the uni-platform stages are lumped together or not. Green Greens. I do think Green Greens will probably stay banned. Even with hazards off, the bombs and blocks don't fall from like they just don't exist anymore, and then apples don't appear. But it's an extremely small blast zone, so like we've seen from the Invitational that you can still die at like 50 from Bayo combos, so that doesn't sound fun at all. And then even with the Bayo nerfs, like that still kills, which is kind of ridiculous. And then it's got some weird jank to it, where like the gaps in between the two floating islands and then like the main part of the stage. So I do think it'll either be, it's very unlikely that it'll be legal, and if it is, it's obviously going to be a counterpick, but my opinion is that it'll be banned. Next, Unova Pokemon League. Supposedly it doesn't transform, so like the platforms from the side, from like the Ends castle thing, don't shoot out into it, and it only has the two platforms, so it's basically another Pokemon Stadium from what I've gathered. So it'll be legal. It'll probably be lumped in with the Pokemon Stadiums. Dreamland I've covered. So yeah, with hazards off, it has no wind. I do think Dreamland with Wispy should be legal, because it isn't too janky, and actually it could be beneficial for characters that don't want to get ledge trapped with like banana at the ledge or items at the ledge, because they might fall off still. So it could be, for that aspect, it could be a counterpick, but with the hazards off, it's probably going to be legal and a starter. Castle Siege, I do think this is a very interesting stage. I do think it'll be legal as a counter pick because it doesn't transition anymore or transform with hazards off. The stage layout is kind of interesting, but it does seem like a good stage and doesn't seem very degenerative. So I do think that'll be legal. Definitely a counter pick though. Probably not a starter just because it's a very interesting layout. Norfair. So it's still got the V layout, but there's no lava that shoots out or like when it drops down, but it has a lot of ledges, and it can be very campy because it's still pretty big, so I do think it'll get banned. Maybe there's an off chance it'll be legal in doubles, but I kind of doubt it just because all the ledges and gameplay can be fairly degenerative just because it's campy. Town and City is kind of controversial in the same sense that Smashville is. So there's no balloons, according to the Reddit, and the platforms don't move towards the blast zone. I'm not sure if the center platform still goes up and down or not. I don't know. I do think this is a good stage still, but I do think that Hazards On is still a good version of Town and City, and that should be legal, which is controversial, I know. But I do think that is a good choice, and that gameplay on Town and City is fairly unique and non-degenerative. So I do like Town and City, and I think that Hazards On should be legal. It'll probably be counter pick, even with Hazards Off, just because it's pretty big, and characters do kind of need to use recovery tools to get on like the side platforms. Not as much as like Duck Hunt's tree or whatever, but it does polarize a lot of the cast. So that's my opinion on that. Umbra Clock Tower, they highlighted here, it's just a flat stage, no platforms up here, so I don't think it's anything special. It'll probably be banned just because it's a flat stage, so we can just use Omega, any stage, or FD Omega. So I don't think it really is notable. Anyone can choose to play on it, but it'll probably count as FD, so if you ban FD, you'll ban all of them, because it doesn't really make sense not to. Unless blast zones are different, but I honestly don't think they will be. So yeah, and then the same thing with Wily's Castle. It's just a flat stage. So my opinion on Umbra Clock Tower is exactly the same for Wily's Castle. I do think that it'll be lumped together with FD. Next is the Castlevania stage. I do think it'll probably get banned, even with hazards off. So like the lamps don't appear and drop items, or like they don't have hitboxes anymore, I don't think. But the thing that kills it for me is the stairs on the right. Ledge trapping seems really weird with that, and I don't see that being fun to play or easy to get used to. And then also it has the weird lips and like walls on the side of like the center. It's just a weird stage. I can see it being pretty jank, so I would advocate for a ban on it, even though I do love Castlevania and all the songs. Next, Congo Jungle. I think this one is Congo Falls, because in the Reddit they talk about a rock, which doesn't exist on Jungle. So yeah, this is Falls, because that got renamed, I think. Congo Jungle, or Congo Falls rather, the rock is still there, and that's fairly degenerative, so I would argue for a ban. And then the stage layout is pretty similar to WarioWare, so it's basically just WarioWare with a rock, and I think the blast zones are slightly different. It is a gorgeous stage, but I do think it'll get banned only because of the rock, because it's pretty degenerative. And we've seen gameplay of it, hazards off, at like the Teen Invitational at San Diego Comic-Con, and then at some other stuff, and we've seen people camp at the rock, so I do think it'll get banned. Skyloft is a very interesting stage. The platform layout is fairly unique, and it doesn't transform anymore, so it seems like a very legal stage. I'm not sure if it'll be starter or counter pick. I do think Skyloft, it's fairly big in terms of blast zones, and then the platform layout's unique. I do think it'll probably be counter pick for that purpose. But I can see it being a starter, so we'll see. But I do think it's definitely a great stage, and it will be legal. New Super Mario Bros. U, it's a huge stage. It doesn't transform anymore, but it's still really big. So it'll promote camping, like circle camping on the platforms. So it'll be banned in singles, but it might be legal in doubles. But even then, it's still pretty big. So we'll see. But you know, for side events of like 4v4, this will definitely be a good stage. Frigate Orpheon, definitely legal. I feel like it'll be a counter pick just because of the moving platform on the right that has the ledge. There might be some jank with that, so it probably will be a counter pick. but it's definitely going to be a legal stage with hazards off because you don't get turned around and die from that because it was so stupid. Brinstar is another unique stage. Platform layout is pretty unique, and then nothing on it has a hitbox and nothing can be destroyed, and it doesn't, like, acid is not a part of it anymore, or like the green lava or whatever that is. So I do think this will be a very legal stage. I do think it'll be probably a starter. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a starter because it's a smaller stage so that you can't really get camped too hard on it, and the platform layout is pretty standard. Yeah, I do think this will be a legal stage, and I'm very excited to play on this because I love some of the Metroid music, so I'm hyped for Brinstar. Brinstar depths, they go over. I don't think this will be legal at all. It's a very weird layout. It has those weird light pillar things in the center and on the right, and then I think it has something on the bottom, but it doesn't like turn anymore. But yeah, this is definitely gonna get banned. I don't see it being playable. It seems fairly degenerative. Rainbow Cruise, I think, is also going to be banned, even though it's static, so it's only the ship. But the wall on the right side with like on the ship, I do think is pretty dumb because you can just sit there at high percent and probably just tech off of it. So I do think that'll be fairly degenerative. I do think Rainbow Cruise will get banned. You can also go under the stage, and characters like Sheik and Villager can probably just go underneath it and be really disgusting. Yeah, I do think this will get banned. Halberd I did talk about. So it transforms in the same pattern, but the ship doesn't attack you anymore, so I do think that it'll still be legal. My guess, Halberd is going to be counterpick, and the other ones that have the same platform layout are going to be starter. Yoshi's Island Brawl is probably going to be starter. Stages like that that don't transform just tend to be better, although it is more cinematic and probably better for casual viewing, for like newcomers who haven't been a part of the scene, so maybe like the Fortnite kids, I guess, watching the game, maybe want to get into it just because, oh, it's a pretty stage that they're fighting on. I don't know. I don't think too deeply into that, but I know some people do. Next, Fountain of Dreams, I did talk about the platforms are static with hazards off, which I do think is kind of dumb, just because we already have triplats that aren't unique with that. So I do think that hazards on should be legal, and that it should be differentiated from the triplats, because it's a gorgeous stage and it's unique gameplay, and I don't like the idea that if you ban one triplat, you ban all of them. Pokemon Stadium 2, exactly the same as Stadium 1 from what I recall. I think the platforms are in the same spot, and I think the blast ones are exactly the same. So they'll be lumped together, and probably the same with Unova Pokemon League, because I'm pretty sure they're exactly the same in terms of platform layout, and we'll have to see with blast ones, but yeah, I think all three of those will get lumped together. And they're all Pokemon stages, which I find hilarious, so music is going to be the same for all of them because they're organized by series and not by stage. Smashville, I did talk about. I do think that hazards on should be legal, but I understand the argument for hazards off, so I think that'll be probably a general community debate. I do think that should be asked early on in the Smash Ultimate lifespan. I do think, like, probably within the first month, I think that should be asked to the community, and it should be debated. I do think it probably should be up to the tournament organizers, but I do think that community input should be a part of it. Kind of like electoral college type stuff for politics. Anyways, besides the point. Woohoo Island I did talk about. It is pretty big. I do think it'll be counterpick for singles, and I do think it'll be legal and a starter for doubles. Kalos Pokemon League is a pretty cool stage in my opinion. The platforms on the side above the ledge is fairly unique, and nothing, like, it doesn't transform anymore, and the platforms don't move at all. I can see this being a starter, and I can see it benefiting characters with horizontal combos, so like Sheik, but it won't be as jank as Smashville Hazards on. Yeah, I'm a proponent of this stage. I do think it'll be legal, and that it'll be a starter. So Fire Emblem Arena is what they call it in the Reddit. I believe it's Arena Ferox. The stage doesn't transform or doesn't change at all, and the platforms are static and doesn't have a hitbox, so you can't break them because they're like statues. The platform layout is pretty unique, and I do appreciate the stage. It's pretty big. Blast zones seem to be fairly large. It's definitely legal. I think it'll be a counterpick just because of the size of it, but for doubles, this will definitely be a starter. This is a great double stage, so I'm excited to play on it. So Yoshi's Story Melee, I did talk about no Randall, no Shy Guy. I advocate for Randall, unless it has ledges, because I, as a Melee player and fan to watch, platform recovery on Yoshi's with Randall is super hype, but if it has ledges, then it's easy mode, and I think that's pretty lame. Obviously, I'm super biased on that, but I do think Yoshi's Story will be legal for sure as a starter with hazards off, but I do think that it should be legal with hazards on if Randall doesn't have ledges, because Shy Guy and Randall adds more to the stage that makes it unique and makes it so you can't just ban all triplats. And if it is a smaller stage too, then honestly I can see it being counterpicked, because if it's even with hazards off, because if it's a small stage like it is in Melee, and you can die to like an up throw up air from, I don't know, Zelda or something, from center stage, or probably like 60 if you're a light character or some shit like that. I can see it getting counterpicked for sure. Probably not a starter, depending on Blast Zone. But yeah, all of this depends on Blast Zone size. We are not currently aware on how big it is. We'll eventually see once we get our hands on the game a month from now, but I do think it'll definitely be counterpicked, maybe starter. Peach's Castle 64, easy ban, even with the bullet bill exploding. That doesn't happen anymore and the platforms don't move. It's just a huge castle separating the left and right sides. It's going to promote so much camping. Like, there's no point in this being legal at all, even for doubles. So yeah, that's an easy ban. Mario Maker is a very interesting stage. We have to see if it does this layout every time with hazards off. I think it does, but it's super weird. So it looks like you can be pineappled underneath the stage, but unless you're on like the left side, so if you're doing like a Fox up B, for example, you can go up on the side of the wall to recover and grab ledge. On the right side, I don't think you can do that. I'm pretty sure you'll just get pineappled. And then it's got the weird dip on the right side towards that ledge. I do think this is a very weird layout, and the platform is tilted. Yeah, this is super weird. Definitely counterpick. I can see it being banned, just because this is super weird. This is a super weird layout. Yeah, and it might be weird for competitive play. I can see it being counterpick. I don't know. It's weird to just say, oh, this stage looks weird, so we should ban it. Obviously, we'll experiment with it, but I do think eventually it'll be banned. But for now, I will say counterpick. Lilat, easily a starter stage. It doesn't tilt anymore, so there's no jank with it, and the camera seems to be better and like steadier. So yeah, this is an easy starter stage. The platforms are unique, the blast zones are unique. It's just a unique and great stage, so I do think it'll be legal. Gamer is a super cool stage from what I've seen. I'm pretty sure that's the layout of it. It's just 2 platforms in the center and then 1 on the right side. The mom doesn't appear, so like all those are gone. And I'm pretty sure this is a unique layout and the only layout for hazards off. And I don't think you can tech on any of the like bottoms of the platforms like you can with the wooden ones with hazards on. But yeah, this is definitely an interesting stage. I can see it being counterpicked because it looks like it's going to be hard to circle camp with it just because the platforms are so close to each other. But we'll see. But yeah, this definitely won't be a starter. I don't think. Definitely counterpick. I'm split on Congo Jungle. You can still go through the stage. The platform in the center, like the platforms in the center don't move, and the barrel's not there, so that last part's good. But the platform's not moving in the center makes it hard for characters to get up there without recovery options like double jump and air dodge or double jump and up B. And I can see this being very circle camp heavy. And as a Melee player, I've seen gameplay of a Peach camping like Ganon. It's just in the top, and it's so gross to watch. So yeah, I can see this being banned. It looks like it'll be a very legal counterpick stage for doubles, but I can see it being banned in singles. Maybe counterpick, but I somewhat doubt it. And then lastly, New Donk City. It still transforms, and it looks like the blast zones on one of them is weird. It just basically feels like Delfino Plaza, just with different layouts and no water. I can see New Donk being banned. Especially with how many stages we have. So yeah, I'd advocate for that being banned. Yeah, that's all the stages in the Reddit. I don't know. I don't want this video to be too long. So yeah, I'm gonna end the video here. If you guys actually watched this whole video, holy shit, thanks. I hope this brings constructive conversation to the Smash Ultimate scene in terms of legal stages. And I know a bunch of other top players are gonna be talking about this as well. Yeah, I felt like I'd make my own video though. But anyways, thank you for watching. If you like my content, please support me. A like goes a long way. Share this with friends and comment what you guys think. You know, stuff that's illegal, stuff that shouldn't be legal. If you agree, disagree, let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next Ultimate video. I'll see you guys later. Peace.